Good morning. It is a beautiful day somewhere. It's just hot everywhere else. Good morning. Welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Oh,
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning to you, JP, as you travel on the road, and we want you to make sure that you are safe. So if you get cut off or anything goes crazy, you just take care of you and that vehicle and precious cargo involved, so you do not get in an accident.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want any accident. We want to drive.
No. Hey, some good news. Charles, his mom continues to improve. Charles, is that correct?
Yeah, she's getting better.
Love it.
Eating well yesterday, from what I understand.
Love it. Yeah, that's right, because y'all are having to rotate who can visit since your family's so large. And then, JP, you have some good news from Stan the Man, the comedian.
Yep, we are out of the hospital and successful, and we are out of surgery, and it was a great success.
And he was in and
So,
out.
and we're home.
Yeah, he was in and out and seemed in good spirits from the pictures you sent us yesterday. So to the crew, thank you so much, because prayers are being answered. And so we appreciate that for two of our team members here and their families. So thank you. We love that.
And there were lots and lots of prayers, that's for sure.
And boy, how
and
prayer
appreciate
is
that.
awesome.
They work.
Prayer work.
They work.
Always believe prayer work. So, Kathy, what are we looking at temperature-wise today?
Well,
I'm afraid to ask.
No. Actually, it's not going to be bad at all today. A high of 91, a low of 66. Currently, we've got sunny and 60 degrees in Frisco, Texas, here at the VentureX Studios. So very lovely weather. And actually, Friday, when we're going to have our barbecue, we are looking at a high of 93 that day and a low of 71 and sunny again. So couldn't ask for better weather. And if you're going to be coming to the VentureX Cookout, shoot us a shout out. Let us know so we can kind of predict how many people to plan for.
Well, or just show up and hang out.
Amen.
Amen. We want to see
But
you.
we'd
Come
like to
hang out
count
with
so
us.
we don't run out of barbecue.
Well, right, but we understand how hard it can be to RSVP, though.
It's one link. It's come and go. So please, even if you can come by and just grab a soda or a cup of coffee and check the new studio out, we'd love to have it. You know, is the studio going to be open? As a matter of fact, Charles, do you know? Maybe people can come in here. We can take pictures with them in front of our JP, Kathy, and the crew sign.
I think so. I don't think anyone is scheduled for Friday.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Have people come in studio and we can take pictures.
Be awesome. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
That'd
be fun. Good times.
It's kind of strange not seeing JP.
Yeah, just seeing like a professional picture.
Hey, we're doing the best we can.
We can hear you, so that's all that matters.
Driving down the road is the best we can do.
There you go.
Sometimes.
There you go.
Sometimes. So, did you notice that Wiley ISD today was recognized as a model for going back to school on campus?
Oh, I love to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they're not partying like some of the college campuses who have already been shut down. A few days of being together and partying. You've got college campuses already shut down. So what you're saying is Wiley is not partying in their dorm rooms?
Apparently not.
They are not partying in their dorm room. The teachers are doing a great job. The students are doing a great job.
Love it.
Following CDC guidelines and the Department of Health, Texas Department of Health as well. And as a result, school is going on at school.
Fantastic.
And so, again, they are the national model, receiving recognition now all over the country. They were on different morning shows this morning talking about all of the great stuff that they are doing in Wiley. And so there you have it right here in Collin County. Our very own Wiley ISD recognized as the national model for going back to school. I love that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge kudos. And I also like the fact that we're hearing about these positive stories, because there are some great return to school stories. Not return to school remotely. I mean, there are good return to school remotely stories, but as far as the stories about in person, we need to hear more of that. And again, let's talk about what people are doing right. So, hey, if Wiley ISD has a fantastic model, let's have other schools around the country model their model, pun intended, even though it's not Pun Day Monday or whatever Charles calls it. But,
don't go there. Don't go there.
Don't go back. Too late. He's reeled in.
So we definitely need more schools to follow Wiley's lead.
Yeah.
But if there are any Wiley people out there, I'm curious to know what happened. Why is this working for you and not for the rest of the country? So come on, chime in somehow.
Yeah, actually, well, we know we've got Wiley ISD friends who are former Wiley ISD board members. Maybe they could chime in. We've got some Wiley ISD teachers who are members of the crew. Mm-hmm. So if y'all are listening, or if you catch our rebroadcast today and you hear this, ping one of us and let us know.
We'll bring
you on the show.
That's right.
Amen to that. Yeah, agree. Agree.
Well, I bet you I can give old Heather Leggett a call and get her on the line and have her talk with us too. So
love it. Love it.
Would love to hear from her. Something else that is becoming a national trend, and it's happening all over the country, including in Collin County, is the confidence in the daily coronavirus case count. I'm talking from a personal experience now with a dear friend of mine. So Kathy and Corley, they go down to get their COVID-19 test.
Right.
They get in line. The line was so long that all they got to do was fill out their paperwork and they went home. They didn't even bother to take the test.
Wait,
and
what?
they get the line was too long. They said, forget this.
Just too much.
We've been in line. We've been in line for like 3 or 4 hours, and we're done with this. And so they went home. And so they never got tested. They got a phone call the very next day that said, you've been tested positive for coronavirus, COVID-19.
Shut it down. Are you serious?
There are a lot of stories like that.
Over the top.
Yeah.
That was a desk slammer.
There are a lot of stories like that.
Wow.
Got a doctor friend, was in line, Kathy, and decided to not stay in line, and he had to go. Apparently, they get your information first, and they sent him a test saying that you're positive, and then sent him another one saying that he wasn't. But
since you haven't been tested and we don't know.
Yeah. So.
Wow, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm a little fishy about top to bottom on that one, but we'll get into that another day.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's definitely something we need to talk about. That's huge. So y'all each personally know a person who has tested positive yet was not tested.
Correct.
That's correct.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So Collin County is now saying, and they put a disclaimer on their webpage, their health department's dashboard, saying that they do not have confidence in the numbers that are on there. In fact, this is what it says, warning, Collin County is providing COVID-19 numbers and data as a convenience to our residents. However, because we've been made aware of inaccuracies in the Department of State of Health Services reporting, we must advise residents that Collin County has no confidence in the data currently being provided to us.
Mm-hmm. So I'm really glad Collin County's stepping up and saying that, putting it out there. I consider Collin County to have an integrity about them.
Absolutely.
They just seem, a lot of folks, in city halls around the town are just
in
been
our
forever.
County Commissioner's Court, and there's leadership.
Nice.
Hence another reason why you should vote for straight Republicans from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket, from the White House to the courthouse, because at the level, which is the county level, which is where these numbers are coming out of, they're handling up on it.
Right. That's good. And the information's out there. I would go to GOP, CollinCountyGOP.com.
Amen.
And see who's there. It really makes a difference what it's going to look like if we don't vote, like Kathy said, from the top to the bottom.
Absolutely. Hey, and JP, you know what?
Right.
Christy Mowry, who's a member of the crew, said Wiley ISD is our feeder school. I have 40, I'm assuming she means children, in an after-school program. No issue so far. So that's one of those things that if it's good during the school day, it's going to be good afterwards. So kudos to you guys too as well. So I think that's great.
Cool.
All right. It's time for a station identification break. We are JP, Kathy, and the Crew on JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network. We come to you live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 9 o'clock, and we love seeing you. Stay tuned. We've got shows that are now getting ready to go live starting on Thursday. We've got a great criminal justice show coming on with Rosenthal and Barbary. And then we're excited about our Sunday education show at 8 o'clock in the morning with Dr. Be Good at Dr. Be Good. And so super excited about the network. Kathy, take it away.
All right. We've got 70 degrees headed towards a high of 91 and a low of 66. And Chance Post, who's a member of the crew and who is here and can give you tours, can tell you about leasing space, leasing studio space here at Venture X. He said the studio will be open Friday during the barbecue, so we can come in here and take pictures with the crew. So that'll be fun and maybe frightening. So I don't know.
Why do you say frightening?
Well, because the crew tends to be a little edgy.
Oh.
They're conservatives with an edge.
I don't know.
Would that be a good way to put it?
I like edgy. I like edgy crew members.
I think we have a good mix.
I mean, we have a great mix of the crew.
We do.
So again, we come, and we want to thank Venture X Studios for hosting JP, Kathy, and the crew right here in Frisco, Texas. And so don't forget to join us this Friday as we go out there, and I think it may be even Chance and I out there throwing the patties on the grill and making things happen with good old Weapon.
Good times. Good times.
Good.
Well, it'll be a beautiful day, so we're super excited about it.
We are. So the Democratic National Convention.
Oh my!
Wow!
Dun, 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 dun.
It's a big one, JP. It's a big one.
Yeah, I know, right? So aside from the fact that they're hammering the president, which we knew this was coming.
Yeah, shocking.
The president represents everything
it's so
evil.
Shocking.
Right.
They haven't been doing this since the night he got elected or anything.
Right.
It's so odd.
Well, or before that, but what's interesting is that they have their own controversy that has brewed in the convention as well, and that is, how could they not give Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or better known as AOC, more than 60 seconds of airtime to give her speech?
Yeah, Corley, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, JP, what are your thoughts on it? I'm pretty sure it's because she said at the end of it, she nominates Bernie Sanders. She seconds the nomination, for Bernie Sanders, and of course he is an approved socialist, and that's a little too in their face. So this is why they went with our guy, Sleepy. No offense.
Sleepy Hollow.
Well, or how did he introduce himself last night? Did y'all see Jill Biden's speech?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when he came out at the end of her speech, she was in one of her old classroom. He came out, and I promise he said, "I'm Joe Biden's wife," or he said, "I'm Joe Biden." He meant to say I'm Jill Biden's husband. And I think he said, and it sounded, and even some of the pundits afterwards said it sounded like he referred to her as Joe Biden.
I don't remember that. But,
I'll
have to pull that back up. But so that was kind of fun at the end.
So let's set the stage. All right, let's set the stage here for a moment. So AOC, they only give her 60 seconds, regardless of why the DNC takes a hit. And the hit is, how out of touch can you be? Are you ready for this? AOC runs Congress. Wow. Why wouldn't you have the leader of Congress given more than 60 seconds to give a speech at the DNC? Now react to that.
Well, it's interesting because here's what I think they're trying to do. First of all, I'm going to sit here and say something, and I may be beating myself up for saying it because I don't know how our national convention is going to look next week. But it's just very lackluster. Even when they had the roll call, and I've been a member of the third congressional delegation back 20 years ago when President George W. Bush was first nominated as president. or as our nominee back in Philadelphia, 20 years ago. So I've been part of this pomp and circumstance and how you stand up and you say, and the great state of Texas casts all, however many delegates to President blah, 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 or to whoever. It was just very lackluster. I kind of feel like it was like the who's who of like the late 90s, early 2000s. It's there. If I'm a Democrat and I identify with the AOCs and the Bernies of the world, which really is where this party has gotten its energy from of late, I'm kind of disappointed because, I mean, heck, we've had Kasich on, we've had Colin Powell on, who was another Republican that they had on? I'm trying to remember. Anyways, and they've had some very conservative Democrats. They brought Jimmy Carter out. They brought Bill Clinton out, which that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day with all his Epstein stuff that's now coming to light, and the Me Too movement being against him being on and all this kind of stuff. Right. I don't, if they're trying to attract their, like, to me, a state convention for the Democrats or for the Republicans, national, local, whatever the case may be, you're all about pumping up your base and your grassroots. I mean, JP, you've been to a bajillion conventions as a delegate like I have. It's all about, in our case, Republican talking points, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, the Constitution, pro-life, local control, lower taxes. I hear them, it's like they're trying to appeal to the independent voter, but there's not the pomp and circumstance. I don't know how many people are even tuning into these things other than us because, it's part of our gig and we're political junkies. I don't know.
It's interesting to hear you talk about it.
Yeah,
it's interesting to hear you talk about it because you've been there before.
Yeah.
And though it was a convention, it was an unconventional format because it was online.
Yeah.
And so that probably lent to it a little bit.
Probably, yeah.
But that didn't stop anyone from delivering searing words to Donald Trump.
Oh, that's all they have.
And that's all they had. Well,
and they really don't have it. They just don't know it.
So it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So I think the First, Second, and Third Amendment has become, racial inequalities, female and homophobic things. It's like these social. Social mishaps that they're trying to solve, not traditionally, not with due process. They're solving it by throwing the guilt out in this broad, net. But that's the narrative. Every single person that spoke, they had a voter come in, and of course they're going to use the coronavirus and blame it on Trump.
Oh, yes, yeah.
She goes, my dad was a healthy 65-year-old. He only had, the only pre-existing thing he had was trusting Donald Trump. I was like,
It's trying to instill fear.
Let's come back to the center, though. I want to bring this conversation back.
Sorry. Yeah.
We're talking about the fact that the DNC is so disconnected from their base. AOC, who has had a huge influence on the platform for the party, has had a huge influence on legislation that Democrats have tried to restructure around how far left she is, only gets 60 seconds. Keep in mind, in her 60 seconds, she never even mentions Joe Biden and her support for him running for president.
Well, heck, go ahead.
The Democratic Party is so disconnected from their base. They're concerned that they're not going to be able to get Bernie Sanders' base out. They made an attempt with Bernie to speak, but they're missing the point that Bernie's the guy on the way out. AOC is the gal on the way in this situation and trying to grab those far left voters. And they missed the boat. She doesn't mention the president once. She complains about misogyny, racial injustice.
They're all their talking points. Oh, yeah.
Well, right. Well, it's all the rhetoric. And people are tired of rhetoric. And so the party can't and refuses to still embrace their far left uprising within their party. And they continue to push that down. As a result, they have alienated an entire group, large group, voting bloc of Democrats.
But
number one. Number two, Biden.
Who is that? Who is that base, though, JP? I'm going to take it a step further, piggyback on
Bernie
what you
Sanders.
said. Well, I don't think they know who their base is because they've got people. They had like a caucus of young people, and all they could talk about was the Green New Deal. Yet then you bring on Colin Powell and you bring on John Kasich, and you're trying to talk about how, heck, Jill Biden even said it in her speech last night that my husband is all about working with Republicans. They had a big old thing on McCain and Joe Biden and their bromance back in the day. I mean, who is their base? Because they've got one extreme talking about the Green New Deal and AOC talking about how this is a stepping stone for the next true revolution in the party, which you're right, she's talking about herself, and Bernie's handing over the whatever, the flame, the baton, whatever to her. But so they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, and you can't please everybody at a thing like this.
They are, but you know what? Go ahead, JP.
Station identification break. It's currently 7:53 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We are JP, Kathy, and the crew. We come to you live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 9 here on the JP, Kathy, and the crew network. Kathy?
Beautiful, beautiful day today. Sunny, 70 degrees currently, headed towards a high of 91 and a low of 66.
So the DNC knows their base. That's not the question. The problem is they won't embrace it. Because then they lose control of the party.
Are you saying their base is now, are you saying the DNC identifies their base as that extreme socialist, far left, Green New Deal, no airplanes, retrofit every building? What's another thing that, was it AOC that said
the answer is yes.
You have to take money from the rich, from the people who are wealthy, and it's just the way it is because we have to serve everybody for free.
Right. And that is, I mean, the identity is with her group. You can't ignore her and her group and the core number of supporters that her and Bernie Sanders bring. Last election cycle, they stayed home. They didn't vote. The message has been, which is funny because it's been a Republican message, don't stay home and vote, get out and vote, make a difference. Well, then they bring on, to ignite their base, they bring Bill Clinton on, who's the poster child of #MeToo, for goodness sake.
And even of late, supposedly there's pictures, and I haven't seen them yet, but he was on one of Epstein's, what they're calling it, like Lolita Air or whatever they're calling it. I think that's what they're referring to his airplane as. Multiple times. I guess they've got pictures of him getting massages from somebody. I don't know. So you're right. So doesn't that go against the whole Me Too movement that they pushed forward?
I gotta go back.
Right in the middle of it.
JP, I gotta go back to you there. I don't think that's the DNC's true base, and I'm just gonna put it out there as a suggestion. I think they know who their base is, and they're massaging this far left group. They've gone over the cliff. Like they're almost into the abyss now. They can't even have conversations, and we're a big country, and a lot of things move. I mean, we move slowly, but when America turns, it makes a big difference around the world. They know this. Remember this. You know, when Obama came through and Clinton came through, these are Princeton, Harvard, very smart guys. They're very individualistic. They were able to gather a lot of people. And bring and steal a lot of people. I guess what I'm getting at is they're being methodical about it, and they know that AOC is a little bit too extreme. I think, and that's again, it's just an opinion, but
hence 60 seconds.
They know what they're doing. I don't think it's by happenstance that she got 60 seconds. She's very radical, and I mean, we would be seen as ridiculous.
It's not by happenstance. No, I agree with you. It's not that at all. But here's the problem: the DNC recognizes that they can't win this election without Bernie Sanders and AOC and her crew and their supporters, and that's why she got the 60 seconds.
Nice.
Otherwise, she doesn't get any time at all.
Nice.
Because they don't want to put her as the face of the Democratic Party.
Well,
the problem is that without her base,
nice,
they don't win.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that without her base, they know they don't win, and that's why they gave her time at all anyway. But then they try to bring on Colin Powell, and bring out the other Secretary of State, John Kerry, who promoted globalism, anti-American message, and Colin Powell, who's the architect of the Iraq War, which we know that George Bush has taken an absolute beating over because there were no weapons of mass destruction found.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so here we are with a president that's absolutely pro-American and who just goes out and gets things done.
Puts America first every single time. Well, and Colin Powell, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, the night before, and I was disgusted. And John Kasich, I am so beyond disappointed in him. I was so disgusted by his speech. He struck me as somebody like Mitt Romney. I didn't win, so I'm going to take my ball and go home. I'm like, you know what? If you're running for office, especially if you're running for the president of the United States, and you don't win, if you truly believe in the ideals of your party, then you're going to get behind and support the person who defeated you. I mean, look at Ted Cruz. I look at Ted Cruz and what a great Senator Ted Cruz and what a great example he was. He and Donald Trump, before Donald Trump was president, those two went at it. I mean, it got personal. It was ugly. It was mean. But I tell you what, Senator Cruz is President Donald Trump's biggest cheerleader out there and biggest supporter.
Nice.
So I'm like, props for Senator Cruz. And then I look at Mitt Romney and I look at John Kasich, who had that little infomercial. This has been the DNC convention has been like a really long, painful infomercial that has just gone on too long. And I don't want to buy anything. And I don't care if they're giving me 2 for 1. I look at, Colin Powell. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, he spoke for Joe Biden. Well, he endorse, and somebody correct me, I think, JP, didn't we talk about this 4 years ago? He supported Barack Obama, Hillary. He supported Hillary 4 years ago, and before that he supported Barack Obama 8 years ago, right?
Yes.
So is this news? I mean, this isn't shocking.
Yeah, I just want to say before we get off the topic, though, people need to stop and think about, just on the one point with John Kasich, switching gears and saying, kind of getting upset or just kind of switching. So it's not about you. It's okay. So we've got to get back to values, and if we're not really thinking about what the left is saying right now, take some time and just think about the implications of group identity. Just think about that for a second. Or telling your child you can do anything you can do anything on this planet if you put your mind. There are going to be obstacles. Okay, but isn't that what America was built on? Isn't that what we tell our kids every day? And so that's where just kind of stop there.
It's all about the American dream, and I feel like they don't. Yeah. I don't feel hopeful.
Careful.
After this, any of these speeches, I'm just. Again, all it is, they're grabbing for the low fruit. They're knocking President Donald Trump around. They're literally making it like he brought this virus over. And I'm sorry, our economy was the strongest it had ever been.
That's right.
Minority groups, women, Hispanics, Latinos, African Americans had the best. The stock market, everything was like the best it had ever been in history. And then China brings over the coronavirus, and we've talked about this. Donald Trump immediately shut down that travel. JP, I remember us reporting on how he was getting slammed. And I remember you said, because I know you study that part of the world tremendously in great depth, we were like, this is going to save millions of lives. And it did. But you would think he went and put it in a Petri dish and blew it in everybody's face.
Petri dish? What exactly is it?
Well,
something in the lab.
So outside of the Petri dish of disaster for the Democratic Party, it was a night of losers, is what it was. Bill Clinton, it was John Kasich, you had John Kerry, you've got Colin Powell, and I mean, it's just one after another failure, globalism, hashtag Me Too. How do you highlight a president who did what he did in the Oval Office and give advice to another president? I mean, give me a break.
And
anyway,
but JP, you know what though? I'm not really concerned about what Clinton did now, overdone. I'm on to the next thing. Why would they be losers in my eyes is because they're now completely reversing what they really believe. For example, Kamala said in her acceptance speech, she said, Joe Biden is a man that always doesn't say what is someone doing to me, but what can I go back and look at it. She said, but what can I do to make things better for myself? Why is that good enough for Joe Biden, but not good enough for all the black people? And I take it personally because she's using my third generation American black that's started here back when the country began. and she's using that to promote whatever it is she's promoting. So I guess, back to my point, why would they be losers? Because it's like switch and bait, and they're doing one thing that the very values that the Republicans are preaching got her in her seat. Why is it good enough for Biden to do these things? Individualism. And by the way, this is the new racism, by the way. These programs, any program that that has inequality is now is racist. And you should, and if you're not going against any of those programs, then you are racist. So very, very careful there. Just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and take a quick station identification break. You are listening to JP Kathy and the Crew on the JP Kathy and the Crew Network. We're glad that you joined us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. Don't forget to share us, like us, follow us, get the word out, and we've got a great series of shows coming your way. Stay tuned as we get ready to release the schedule and what you can tune into all day, every day on the JP Kathy and the Crew Network. Kathy, where are we at now?
Beautiful, beautiful sunny day. Get out there, walk your dog, stroll around with your kids, go on a nature hike, enjoy the sun because it's not too hot today. High of 91, low of 66. Next couple of days, it's only going to get up to 96 over the weekend. So, yay, no triple-digit heat.
Besides the barbecue, what are you going to do?
Barbecue's all I'm thinking about right now.
Okay.
We've got heat coming your way, though, right now in this next segment. Very excited to bring on this.
And we've lost him. Do we
get into deep conversation to the NRA, guns, Second Amendment. Make your mark with sight mark with James Sellers. He should be joining us right now, in fact. We should be getting ready to talk to James. Chuck,
he's ready.
Do we have James on the line? Hello?
Getting him on.
I'm trying to get him on.
Yeah, getting him on.
Did I freeze? Okay, we're getting him on.
Uh-oh. My Zoom thing's not responding.
Uh-oh. Well, JP, talk a little bit more about James. You've been friends with him for a long time.
Well,
I might lose John.
Hello?
I think I lost John.
I think John has frozen.
No,
John's here.
Still there.
Well,
John's here.
talk because you froze a little bit earlier, JP. Talk about James Seller.
I'm going to. James is a dear friend of mine from high school. He was in the Plano Senior High Young Republicans, Teenage Republicans. Helped me run for office when I was 18. Has got out there and has made his own way in the world and has an amazing company out in Mansfield, Texas. And they do amazing work with young people. His company is always on the cutting edge of doing things to support the Second Amendment, a big proponent of the NRA, and has made an impact in the retail market in regards to sighting and guns. And so I can't wait to get him on. Like today's conversation, some of the things we're going to talk about is what new shooters may be looking at for families and safety and tips for new shooters and how to relax and have fun and keep it simple, keep it within your budget. Growing up shooting, what was your first experience? So all kinds of fun coming your way when we can get James on and get going. Then also at 8:30 this morning, you don't want to miss out. We have Chairman Alan West joining us from the Texas
I'll wait until he
Republican
gets to a
Party.
break. All right, and JP, we're gonna restart you real quick so we can bring both you and James on. We're trying a new program today, so we apologize to the crew, and y'all stick with us because we've got, like I said, like JP said, we've got a James Seller coming on, and then we also have Colonel Alan West, who's the RPT chairman now. Super excited to have both of them on. So JP will bring you right back on. Are you good? All right. So, okay. Do you have any predictions yet? Let's go back to the DNC because I could talk about this forever and a day. Corley, do you have any predictions on if there is a bump? Because usually whichever party has the convention, there's a bump for their candidate. Do you think at the end of the week this will be a large bump?
So explain bump again for those who do not.
A bump in the polls. A bump in the polls.
Okay.
So basically, whoever's leading, whoever the candidate is, and the party who has the convention that week, you see a bump in the polls. You see a spike because people are like, oh, well, look at that. And that's all
nationally. This is going to
exactly. Okay. So do you think this type of a convention, and again, I don't know what our convention is going to look like next week. It might be kind of a glorified Zoom meeting as well. It is what it is with COVID. We have certain things we have to do. Do you think there will be that natural bump in the polls, that natural spike? And again, at the end of the day, the last and the big speaker is when Biden comes on to speak.
Which the bump will go down.
I mean, God bless him. Yeah, just come on.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, so the message definitely is resonating and will resonate. We're gonna see, and I'm sure Gallup's doing polls, so we'll have that. We'll try and have that for folks Friday.
Yep.
But also, so there's a little bump right now. I'm not sure who's watching. I don't think as many people are watching as they think. A lot of the noise is coming from a very young audience. Like, okay, Jacob, did you watch the DNC? A little louder, buddy.
So you haven't watched any of it?
No. Right.
Have you even gone back and watched the replay of?
I watched where he said, "I'm Joe Biden's husband." Yeah.
So he did. Clip. Did you see that?
There's a bunch of debate on whether he says that now.
Like Joel. It's like he tried to correct it.
He normally says, I'm Joe Biden. I'm Jill Biden's husband.
Yes.
He normally says that in his
He combined
speeches,
it then.
But it really does sound like he said Joe, and because of his track record, I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Right, and and again, it's his wife was delightful. She seems like a nice lady.
Right.
She's an educator. That's
Teacher.
all good. Yeah,
Right.
But it was so interesting because my husband and I both went. Did he just say I'm Joe Biden? What? And we were like, rewind. Because, of course, we had recorded. So we're rewind. And we're like, okay, were we just expecting? It's kind of like he combined, I'm Joe Biden's husband. I'm Jill Biden's husband, and with I'm Joe Biden, and it kind of sounded like Joel or something. But then again, and the reason we're not trying to make fun of him or beat a dead horse with that, but then I just wonder how the heck is his own speech going to go, which is going to need to be several minutes long at least, right? If you're running for president.
Yeah, he's done some bad speeches. It's just bad commercials. He's done some horrible things that they're going to need to watch him very closely. But I also want to say they do.
At some point they have to let him talk.
Do they?
Sound like his speeches sound like they're not even written. He just goes out there and just kind of says some random stuff on the fly and then comes back. And
he seems like he has this thing where he knows what, for all intents and purposes, I mean, what black people want to hear and how to say it. He's like, oh, come on, man. He's like, come on, I mean, I don't want to go there.
He tries to be kind of casual.
It's like
and
a little
cool
too
and
casual.
And then, and I don't. And this is
take it easy, buddy.
And let me know when we've got James on, because I want to make sure we put him on the second we have him back up.
Yeah.
But okay, there's this whole thing, and I can't really even talk about this, especially because we've got a young gentleman in the room with us. He did this interview with Cardi B and said, "Oh, just call me Joey B." Does he know about her latest song? I looked it up last night because I saw a news story on it. I
honestly don't know.
Horrified.
Really?
I saw Ben Shapiro's reaction on the video. It was.
I'm like, what are you? And you know what? And I'll admit this. Back when I was in college, I was an NWA fan, and I thought that was like just as tough of rap as there was. Now that's something that you could play at church Sunday school compared to what Cardi B said. And he's interviewing Cardi B about policy and, well, what would you do? You know, if you were, because she's talked about running for Congress, which and then we've got complete idiocracy if that happens. But I just couldn't believe it. I was like, he's interviewing her like she's some serious, political, philosopher.
The same way they had Tracy Joy Silverstein, the lady that is on Blackish, Diana Ross's daughter. I mean, these are actresses and these are people.
Entertainers.
They're stealing they're stealing those. And I mean, we do it on social media. This is a PR. It's not it's just how we roll. People need to just, I'm afraid about those people who are on the fence, Kathy. I don't think a lot of people are watching the last 2 days because they've made up their minds already. We've been polarized for 3 years, 4 years now?
Because they've got a life.
Yeah, this is true too.
Texting
there are
each
more
other.
important things.
OMG, did you see that?
Yeah, politics for most people is downstream, I think. And we have to, shows like this, at least trying to stir up thought. People do need to think, and that's just it. I mean, if anyone has children out there and they want those children to be successful, I think that's the conversation that needs. This is what I'm trying to talk every day to people about. I talk to the left all the time, but they won't talk to us.
Well,
by the way,
and it depends, and that's where we're very proud of the fact that we've got a platform here. We had some folks from the left.
Right.
They'll talk to us as long as we agree with what they're saying.
Well, true. Now I do have to say we did have a debate last Friday on our show.
We did, and
people did not agree, and everybody had a chance to speak their mind, and we are totally going to do that again. For that topic, for other topics, because it is important for us to learn how to do that, or to go back to a time when we could do that, so we can teach that next generation how to keep that speech going.
Correct. But to Chuck's point, I don't think they're willing to really have a deep conversation on air because they'll get canceled. It's like
cancel culture.
Cancel culture, bro. Yeah, and that started Black Twitter, and then it's like mainstream, and now it's all over the news, or was. So to make it clear, they won't have the conversation because there are a lot of points that we agree on. Individualism, bootstrap, hard work. These are the things that, what's the guy? I can't think of his name. Anyway, he just wrote How to Be an Anti-Racist. He's using all of those things as the new, it's bad. And that just doesn't make sense. But, it doesn't make sense to me. So.
Oh, is she talking back to you?
Yeah.
Is she angry at you?
She's hearing all this, conservative talk. She's like, I don't like it.
She's like, shut it down. Oh, well, Surrey hates my Texas accent.
Yeah. So, in other words, there are a lot of there's a lot of common ground. Right now, though, the DNC, like JP said, and you've said, Kathy, they've gone over the edge. So, the conversation's a little bit different. It's not reasonable to sustainment of a nation because we know this. I can get into it, but whatever.
Well, get into it. Don't leave us hanging.
No. It's so. I mean, screaming that you're racist because
we didn't even talk about Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama basically said the other day from Martha's Vineyard, from her like $20 million compound. She said something, and I would have to go back and look up the exact quote, that basically was, if you were this, you were a bigot. And I'm like, so you're all or nothing?
Yeah.
You can't just be a normal, hardworking American?
Yeah.
So, why isn't she back in Chicago? That's what I want to know. Why is she in Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah, especially with the radical left with talking, just having a conversation. The radical left, you say anything and they call you a bigot, a racist, homophobe, whatever.
Yeah.
And you just can't can't have a conversation at all.
So why can't we all have? Everyone should be proud of their family. They should have some. I mean, this is what America. So you have all these cultures. I mean, where everyone's proud of their own people. Why can't we say, hey, everyone be proud of be proud of your people, but just stay out of, don't tell me I can't be proud.
Right.
And that's just it. And we keep on going, and the best man wins. Who wants to be in a place where everyone?
Lost on this crowd.
I don't understand it.
That's lost on this crowd. Well, and Corley, I'd like to know your reaction to what Cleo from the crew said. She said that. Let me get her exact quote.
Oh, Cleo.
Well,
hey,
no,
Cleo.
but this is. She said.
Cleo's hard. Cleo's so hardcore.
She said, and Cleo's a black woman, so I'm interested in this perspective. She said Biden is the typical liberal who needs to do quote unquote black speak to talk to black people, and so like when he was talking to Cardi B, and I'm sitting here thinking, first of all, who did not do their homework to look up her? I don't care if you are the furthest, most extreme left person on God's green earth. At some point, you should have done research. Somebody should have done research on her latest song, which literally is crude. There's crude. There needs to be a new word invented to describe how crude this song is. And so he's sitting there talking with her. First of all, trying to talk like he's young, and trying to talk like he's kind of got the black street lingo down or something like that. And he's like, "Oh, just call me Joey B." And I'm like, okay, and they just let that happen. If President Trump went on, well, heck, President Trump has hung out at the White House with Kanye West. Does President Trump change his demeanor or the way he speaks? No. And so I just, somebody has not done their homework. And Cleo's right. If he's doing that, why isn't that just normal? Why are they treating it as normal speaking when we would be slammed for that? A Republican would be slammed for that.
You know what she's done?
What?
She's drugged men and stolen from them.
What?
And she even admits to it, and no one's canceling her.
Wow.
Cardi B.
Yeah.
Wow, I had not heard about that, but
So two points there that you brought out, Kathy. One, there's like this. They believe, or Biden believes, and I could probably convince someone fairly well that he believes, because of things that he said and how he said them, in instances with him talking black and saying to be, black. Well, by the way, Obama did that a lot. Like when he goes to the South or when he goes to black crowds, he's like, being more black. But we know he's a very well-spoken intellectual.
Oh, I was gonna say he's a highly educated, very well-spoken orator. I mean, they, even now disclaimer, did not agree with his policies. I'm just gonna say that, but there are a number of people, even conservatives and Republicans, who spoke about him during his presidency and said he had the ability to communicate in a very similar manner to
James.
Ronald Reagan.
Right.
So, which is interesting. Is that James? Can he hear us?
Yes, good morning,
All right,
Kathy.
Yay, success.
How are you today?
How are you, our friend?
Doing good. Looks like we had a little internet difficulties, but it's good to be on the show. I've wanted to join you for some time.
Excited. Oh, super excited to have you on. Okay, so let's talk about you. Let's talk about your business. Heck, let's talk about, we've been talking about the DNC convention, so please help us, and let's talk about the Second Amendment.
Okay, well, great. Well, we are a Texas-based company based out of Mansfield, Texas, so we're already off to a good start there. I got a great team of people.
Amen.
Yeah, great team of people dedicated to taking care of the folks that believe in the Second Amendment and hardworking Americans all across the country. So that's what we do. We want to make their experiences outdoors, shooting and hunting, and provide them tools to hunt and shoot safely and protect their families. So.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so let's talk about when the company started. How big are y'all? For those, and we do have a number of people who are big on the Second Amendment, and including all of us here who are part of JP, Kathy, and the Cruise Network. Let's talk about what you can provide, what services, all that kind of good stuff. So when did y'all start?
Sure. All right. So SiteMark was founded in 2007. And what we actually at that time, if you look back, most of the people hunting and shooting were really focused on traditional hunting. So it's bolt action, very kind of upscale, very wealthy, very proper kind of approach. But we noticed a whole lot of people just wanted to go shooting, and they wanted to shoot what the guys came back from the Gulf, and they wanted to shoot the same type of way they shot over there, and they wanted to use the latest and the greatest, and that was the AR-15. So back in 2007, AR-15 was kind of like a new thing. Some people didn't know if that was going to end up being the dominant rifle or not. But Sightmark came out and said, we think the AR-15 is a fantastic platform. It's fantastic for shooting. It's fantastic for hunting. It's great for just getting out and having fun and hitting targets. So Sightmark's whole purpose in life was to create products to make the AR-15 and other modern sport rifles as accurate as possible and to make them as enjoyable and fun for the people using them.
Okay. So. And here's the thing. Let's just get this out. And we do have a number of members of the crew who do not necessarily, we've got some new listeners to the show with our new format, new members or new audience members, I should say. I don't know if they want to be considered part of the crew yet. We would love to have them as a crew, but when you say fun and guns, they think the two can't coexist. So let's talk about that, James, and talk about how they can.
Absolutely.
And safety, all of that.
Yeah. Here's the thing is I grew up in a family that, really believed that people should be independent and should be responsible and should be able to take care of themselves, if we need for anything, right? So firearms are really a part of who we are because we are hunters at heart.
Yes.
We also are liberty-loving people. We rose, against tyranny and created a country by force of arms, and we protect that liberty by being willing to stand up and do what's right when necessary, whether it's defending our country from threats from abroad or domestic as well. So whether that's protecting your family against home intruders that are hell-bent on harming your family, or if you want to put food on the table. So that is kind of where we came from. Honestly, firearms in the United States is the history is one and the same. I think the Second Amendment, because if you want freedom of speech, you want freedom of religion, you want those freedoms, you're going to have to be able to defend that. It's just the history is filled with examples of well-meaning, intended people who thought they're doing the right thing and got terrible results, and taking away people's right to defend themselves and protect those liberties always leads to tyranny. So I think the Second Amendment is very relevant. But I think from the family side, so think about that. So it's an American tradition. You want to teach your children about American legacy and what it means to be American. We are a country ruled by citizens. Citizens have to be able to defend themselves. We have to defend the country when needed. If we're called upon, we have to be able to answer that call. So my family actually aren't very big hunters. I grew up with a father and grandfather that taught me how to use a rifle. I think my grandfather took me out back. He had a ranch in California. I think he took me out when I was about 5 years old. But it's 22 in my hands. He said, "We're going to come out. We're going to teach you how to shoot this rifle safely, and you're not going to go in until you master this." So I remember sitting shooting off a John Deere tractor in the back of his ranch, learning how to shoot a rifle for the first time. And what a great experience. And fast forward though, Kathy, what's your experience with shooting? Have you had a chance to experience?
Yes, I have. And I'm not the best. I had trouble with Pong and Super Pong. So I'm not the best. I've done quite a bit of clay shooting over the decades, because a lot of the different political events I've been to have been clay shooting, and I love it. I always have a blast. Let's just say I always have a good time. I'm not the best. I know one of the last times I went shooting at a gun range in Tyler, Texas. I shot around the target really well. Like, it was almost like the gentleman instructing me. He said, let's just say this was by design and you were trying to just scare your target and not shoot your target. I was like, wow, that's a nice way to get me coming back to your gun range. I love to shoot. And again, it's got good connotations because I go back to my grandfather showing me his guns and teaching me about guns when I was very, very young. And so those things, they're not just part of, America and our ability, thank the good Lord, to defend ourselves and our family. But James, these also go back and become, huge parts of my childhood and great memories with my grandfather who has since passed. And I know it's the same way for my brother who inherited several of those guns. That's a really big deal. That's part of growing up in America. And, with all of the frightening things going on, now more than ever, the ability to protect myself, my property, my family, I can't imagine not having that opportunity.
I couldn't agree more. I think those memories, brothers and uncles and friends and stuff going hunting or shooting, those are memories that we cherish. I mean, it's great. It's a great experience and great accomplishment to learn how to shoot a firearm safely. I did teach archery and BB shooting to youth at summer camp for the Cub Scouts for several years, and I can't tell you how many kids came to come up the front of the line, never held a firearm before. Some of them, a lot of the kids grew up in families with just a mother that didn't hunt or shoot, so they didn't get a chance to really experience that yet. And it was a really wonderful experience to watch. Some young people were excited about it, other people were kind of unsure and unconfident. But to give a young person some challenge, something that they can do, and then see the results immediately and take pride in that, and then get better at it, it's a great sense of accomplishment and empowerment. And if we want young people to be empowered to do something, that is a good place to start.
It really is. Real quick, I'm going to piggyback on what you said about Scouts. Both my daughter and my son, their first shooting experience was, obviously my daughter in Girl Scouts and my son in Boy Scouts. And again, I would be very concerned with, my daughter. Now, my daughter's, a young adult. My son is almost 17. I'd be very concerned if they had not had that experience as a young child handling firearms of different sizes, different calibers. I'd be very nervous because now I know they've got a healthy respect for gun safety because they were taught that as a young child, and it left that impression upon them.
I think we're thinking the same thing. But so James, I just wanted to say, Kathy made a point earlier that is the American experience, having guns early. I have a lot of friends, college and just friends that grew up with guns. I still have not gone hunting. I want to go hunting. So growing up in Brooklyn, middle class family, black family, very conservative family. My dad had a gun, but we couldn't get to it. So when I became an adult, now I have several guns in the house. But I mean, it's just a great physical activity. It sharpens you. And to Kathy's point, and I'll be quiet. That's a whole demographic that I think needs to be in every household, young, being taught about it. I mean, unless you're in the Boy Scouts, a lot of demographics
or Girl
don't
Scouts
see it, and then they're taught what guns are by, let's say, the streets. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
And so, but that is not the narrative.
That's not the narrative.
And so anyway.
Yeah, no, that's correct. I think it's great opportunity. Here's the thing: we're in a situation right now. You can't do a whole lot. People are looking for things to do with friends and family. Getting outdoors doesn't matter what it is. Get them outdoors, right?
Oh,
and we see
absolutely.
A surge of interest in that. But I really believe fundamentally, if you teach somebody how to shoot and that they could hunt and provide for themselves, it changes the real view.
You never go back.
And I think that without knowing how to shoot and properly, safely handle a firearm, I think we're losing the liberties because the people that associate firearms that they see in movies and on TV, and I take any profession and show that profession through that small minority of criminals and people that abuse whatever the profession is. Well, whether it be doctors, lawyers, politicians, you name it. That's what they're doing with the firearm shooting. They're painting it in a very unfair light. one of the safest sports is shooting sports. People that are
one of the things I was going to say is,
that's right.
I mean, think about when you started to drive a car. How many people were afraid to drive a car, or they had so much fear about it, and then they learned how to safely drive a car. Then they lost that fear.
Right.
But
it's
if you live in a family, can you imagine living in a family that has never owned a car, and then the only thing you see on TV is car wrecks all day?
That's a good analogy.
You know?
And James, as a matter of fact, I want you to tell people how they can get in touch with you. And we want the crew to know that James is going to be a regular on the show. We're going to do a regular spot with him and talk about this. You touched on something that I think is huge, and that is how the liberal left, how Hollywood, how they portray guns. I don't even want to say gun owners, because I don't know that the people who they're showing in these movies and TV shows legally own those guns. I mean, that's something to talk about on another day. But let's talk about how the left has portrayed guns. And first of all, and I don't know if you can see me, but you know that sideways gun handheld thing that all the bad guys do in the movies? Can you really shoot a gun holding it sideways like that?
Like when they hold it like that?
Yes. Can you really do that?
I don't know.
I suppose if you put one of our laser sights on there, you could. It's not recommended to shoot that way.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You'll hit
a
yourself
professional.
You'll probably break your nose or something.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there thinking something. So I'm going to jack something up, and my wrist is going to be like permanently in that position or something.
Right.
Yeah.
James, Mythbusters tested it. Actually, they tested all the different ways of shooting.
Oh, that's true.
Just aiming it down normally is the best.
It's the best way. Yeah, true.
Definitely.
James, I can't wait to have you back on, because there's another point that I would like to bring up. It's again, and if you know anything about me, it's just maybe it's not so well mainstream, but the police have it bad. From another side, I'd like to see you talk about this. They have it bad because America is there's a gun. I mean, we have a lot of guns, and they don't know what they're going to get when they approach a car, just by sheer demographic, just by our nation.
Oh, yeah.
True.
And so
that's a
no
great
one
topic.
thinks about that.
They're
dealing with something completely different. Anyway, hey, you're awesome.
Right.
Yeah, we are so excited to introduce you to the crew. James, how do people get in touch with you? Where do they go on SiteMark? I've already put some of it in our comments.
Yeah, sitemark.com, and that's SIGHTMARK.com. We are a manufacturer, so we're blessed with so many wonderful supporters of ours across the great state of Texas. I would recommend anybody interested in red dots and rifle scopes and night vision and laser sights, what are they looking for to outfit the AR-15 for anything that they're trying to do in the shooting sports. Sitemark.com, you'll see the products, but our products are at Academy. They're at dozens of great independent shops and ranges across the state. So look for SiteMark. Give us a shot if you haven't. And we always say with SiteMark, make your mark. Whether that's in your shooting profession or in your life, let's make a positive impact in the world.
Love it. Well, we are so excited that you're a member of the crew, first of all, James, and that you're going to be a regular part of our show, and we're going to have a segment every month with you. So thank you. God bless you for what you do, and stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you soon, James.
All right. Take care. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. All right. So that's exciting. Yeah, we're very happy to reveal today that he's going to be a regular on our show. This is such an important topic, and even if you don't want to own a gun, even if you don't believe in shooting, I think gun safety is something that we've got to talk about on a regular basis. Very excited to have our next guest on. And I have not seen you since you won the chairmanship. So, Colonel, do we call you Colonel, Chairman? What do we call you now, for those of us especially who are members of the Republican Party of Texas? How are you?
I'm doing very well, Kathy. Just never call me late for breakfast.
I love it.
Alan is fine. That's my God-given name from my parents. So I'm not into all these titles and whatever. I'm just into getting the work done.
Well, sir, we are just so excited to see you. And I just, as a person who's been involved with the Republican Party myself for over 30 years, have been a county chairman, have been a county commissioner, have been a delegate to conventions since the 90s. You, first of all, the exchange between you and James Dickey at the virtual convention when you had won the position, this showed it was a tough fought race, but this was two patriots coming together to pass the gavel, and you handled that with such style and such grace and such compassion. And I think that really set the tone for your leadership and how you were going to lead. And then, boy, after that, I'm seeing press release and statement and, RPT chairman says this and RPT chairman says we need to do this. I love all of the activity. I think you're a phenomenal communicator. So I'm going to let you talk now, but I just want to say kudos and thank you. And I'm so proud to have you in this position.
Well, thank you very much. And, I'm just blessed by the Lord because it wasn't too long ago I was pretty banged up in a motorcycle accident. The fact that I'm in this position now is just a testimony to His grace. But the most important thing I want people to understand is that we have to be focused. I don't like the circular firing squad, and we need to make sure that we're all on the same message page. And that's why I try to get out as much communications and information, because this is a critical fight for the future of the United States of America, and Texas is on the tip of the spear, and the Republican Party of Texas is going to be leading that fight.
Sir, good morning. First of all, I feel really privileged to be talking to you. And I do have a question for you around how you deal with certain things, because because I'm dealing with a lot of things from my own folks, and by my own folks, that's a broad map. But how you deal with it, because there are things that people don't know about you, and it's because they're not really interested in different views or really what someone feels or believes. I mean, I don't think a lot of people know your intellect around foreign policy and around domestic policy. I don't think they really know how deep you go, the breadth and depth. So people, I've saw something on Facebook from, I won't get into it, but I'm sure you know about it, and I'm like, does this person really know how smart this guy is? And I'm not like tooting your horn, but I'm really privileged to be here, sitting here talking to you. And I did communications at SMU, so I learned how to interview. But this is like one of my first biggest communications interviewing. So thank you for.
I'm not that big of a guy, and one of the things that I always try to get people to understand is a very simple maxim that I have, is that you never allow irrelevant people to cause you consternation. And so you don't go out there chasing all the detractors and whatever.
Amen.
And in the end, when you don't give people a platform, you end up taking their perceived power away from them, and they become frustrated. So I think the most important thing is that I can stay on message, stay on point. And if people are out there trying to call me names, undermining, me or things of this nature, the very first press release from the Texas Democrat Party after I achieved this position, they called me racist. The following week, they called me a bigot. And there is a member of the McKinney City Council that actually referred to me as a coon.
That's what I was referring to. Yeah.
I don't take any counsel to that, because if people don't want to debate me on the issues, which the Texas Democrat Party chairman declined to do, then you become irrelevant.
So let me ask you that. So sir, because I know you did reach out and you welcome a debate. So officially that invitation has been declined.
Yeah, I've never heard from him. From what I understand, he had his little communications crony sent out a press release, said that they didn't want to be part of a sideshow circus. I don't think a Lincoln Douglas debate is a sideshow circus, but I do believe that the American people and people here at Texas deserve to hear the competing vision for the future of the great state of Texas. And obviously the Texas Democrat Party chairman doesn't feel so.
So, sir, could you sum up for us, for example, that could lean to your argument, them not wanting to debate. There's a very clear message out there of look at this, but do not look at the facts. Do not look at what's really going on. You've been saying that for a while, actually. 3 years ago, you were doing interviews around, for example, the Colin Kaepernick piece and how and your framing of that as a serviceman. My father was in the service as well. But anyway, what's going on? Why is there this huge, if it's not obvious, I'd like to hear you kind of frame it up for us. Why are they not having the conversations? We were just talking about that a minute ago.
Well, the truth is immutable, and when you want to do things in the darkness, you'd rather stay in the darkness, because you have many Democrats saying there's no need to have a debate between President Trump and their nominee, Vice President Biden. Basically, they're saying, most people have made their minds up, so let's just go ahead and do it. That's not our way. That's not our process. We like to have that open intellectual exchange and discourse of thoughts, perspectives, and insights. But it is truly fascist when you try to shut down any opposing perspectives and views. And I think that's what the Democrats are doing, because they cannot stand up to any type of scrutiny. And as I have, trying to get people to understand here in the state of Texas, it's a very clear choice that we make now. We either stand for the rule of law or we allow the rule of the mob. And that's very simple. And that's what you have not heard anyone in this virtual DNC convention say anything about the unrest, the violence, and what is happening in our streets. No one has come out and condemned Antifa or this Marxist group, Black Lives Matter. So until I hear that, then the Democrat Party is just an irrelevant party that supports the mob.
Well, and everything is, it's so, they're so angry. And there's no, JP and I and Corley, we all talk about this on the show all the time, and that is, let's have solutions. We don't, obviously, we're not going to agree. And the great thing about this country is we all have the right to our own opinion. But
not for your own facts. You don't have the right to your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm stealing that. I'm stealing that from Chairman Allen West. But so I look at, like, when I turn on the news and it's almost just too much, I turn on the news and I look at, like, the individual and the transgender, it was a man and a transgender individual who were beaten severely and then hospitalized by these, what the DNC are referring to this week as people who are quiet protesters, peaceful protesters. And I'm watching people get kicked in the gut and kicked in the head while they're already on the ground. And I'm seeing, like in Chicago, cars running into buildings and people running around and looting and say it's their right to loot. They deserve to loot, and running around to where, sir, it doesn't even look, it looks like a third world country. It doesn't look like America.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And having served overseas in several combat zones, what we're facing is a domestic insurgency. There's no doubt about it. They have a political ideology, and they're using threats, coercion, intimidation, and violence to achieve their ends, their means. As a matter of fact, Black Lives Matter has come out and said that looting is justified as a means for reparations. That's insidious to me. I mean, they are basically saying that, theft and crime is an accepted tool that they will continue to use. But I think it's so important. Language and verbiage is key in this battle that we're in, this ideological battle. We should not be calling these people protesters. They are a mob. When you drop off 11 buses of Antifa and Black Lives Matter members in downtown Austin, Texas, for them to try to establish an autonomous zone, that's the mob. And the fact that you would have, Mayor Stephen Adler and the City Council of Austin now defund the police by $150 million.
What is that about?
Because they want to turn that place over to the mob. If you go down to Austin right now, it looks like a combat zone. The 6th Street is supposed to be the live music capital of the world. All the bars and everything are boarded up.
And that's so sad. I mean, we're already dealing with so many issues, and this may have to be another topic for another day to get into. And we'd love to have you as a regular on the show, Mr. Chairman, if you're okay with that. We would love that. And we are very, very grateful. And let me tell you once again, we had you on right after your accident. The crew has continued to pray for you in full force, and God has plans for you. And so we're very glad you survived that horrific motorcycle accident. But I look at, we've got the coronavirus, which has shut down and just devastated our country financially, spiritually, emotionally, you name it. We haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg as far as what's going to happen with mental health in our country from this. Yeah. So you're talking about Austin and 6th Street, which, boy, I remember back in the day when I was young and I could still go out past 10 o'clock at night. I spent many a nights there listening to fantastic live music, and I just think, okay, so that's not an option for anyone right now. So not only do you have to worry about the violence, do those businesses ever come back?
It's going to be very hard for those businesses to come back. And that's why I say the whole COVID-19 coronavirus issue has moved from the realm of medical into the realm of political. And I would just say you can go to a Time magazine article from this past April the 14th, 2020. And that there was an article written by Eric Holder where it says how the coronavirus will change elections in the United States of America permanently. And maybe you want to discuss that article by Eric Holder, April the 14th, 2020, in Time Magazine, because that's exactly what we see happening. The whole thing about how they will leverage this as a means by which they can do this, mass mail-in ballots and things of this nature. So never forget what Rahm Emanuel once said, never let a good crisis go to waste. I think that's what the coronavirus has now become, because we are facing something that has a 99.9% recovery rate, but yet we're seeing businesses that may not recover. We're affecting our children, and we're affecting the mental health of many Americans.
I wish the flu had that kind of a recovery rate.
Right. And you know what? And what I'll be anxious to see, and we have a couple of doctors, an ER doctor and then a family practitioner who come on our show on a regular basis. And my question to both of them was like, do you think we'll see an increase in flu vaccinations this year? We probably won't. I mean, that's what's crazy. And everybody's so focused on this COVID-19 thing.
Yeah, the left is taking it crazy. Colonel, so tell us, what is the message? If we're building the case, or is it a good case? The disconnection. So we know what disconnection does in Chicago's, the Maryland's, all these places where videos have gone up, police have disconnected, and the place, the towns have gone to ruin. That it's inevitable that it happens in Austin. God help it doesn't. But there's that, and then there's the polarizing view, which I'm so happy that you're speaking on behalf of values and individualism, because you do it in such a temperament that people have to listen. I say to slow down, like you. I think it's important. But anyway, what is the message? How do we get people to stop and listen? And you spoke about it a little bit in your speech at the church I was at a couple of weeks back over here in Frisco. But what is the message? What are we trying to tell the world to get them to listen, if that helps?
Well, I think the most important thing we can talk about is how America, and Texas definitely, is a land where you have an equality of opportunity. You think about my life's journey. I was born in a blacks-only hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, in the inner city. And look at where I am today because of the equality of opportunity that is afforded by this country. But you have a different group of individuals that when they talk about equality, what they mean is the equality of outcomes, where they get to make the decisions about your life and the path that you can take. So I think that here in Texas especially, Texas is all about people becoming victors. But what we are facing is a philosophy of governance and an ideology that needs victims. And we can see that playing out in every major urban population center, which has been under Democrat Party control for the last 60 to 70 years. So that's the clear-cut choice. That's the message. And I'm just the embodiment of the American dream. And I just want to continue to elevate that message.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. We're looking forward to you.
Right. I mean, and let's talk about this. So we've got, less than 3 months. I mean, we are literally right around the corner from our election. What can conservatives do right now to ensure victory from the White House to the courthouse? Because this year, and if you can talk about this as well, sir, we don't have straight party ticket voting on either side. So this is, I'm finding, I'm one of the chairmen for Victory in Collin County this session, or this election season. And one of the big things is we're having, we're knocking on doors and people are saying, oh, well, don't worry, honey, I vote straight Republican ticket. And we're having to say, hey, and these are educated, intelligent people. We're having to say, wait a second, you have to go all the way down the ballot. So what are your thoughts on Victory strategy?
Well, most importantly, as you just mentioned, Kathy, we have to inform, we have to educate, and then we can activate. So it's important we get people to understand that you don't just hit that box at the top. You've got to go in there in the ballot booth, and go all the way down that ballot. And that's why one of the things we want to do is make sure that every single county has a ballot slate on the Republican side so that we can have it online. We can text message it out to people. We can also hard copy it to people so that they know, because we cannot afford to lose 56 judicial positions like we did 2018, because a lot of people didn't go down the ballot. The other key thing that we want to do is make sure that we are registering people to vote, and especially in churches. In 2016, 25 million Christians did not come out and vote. So not only do we register, we got to activate them to get out to vote. And with that being said, it is so important that we start to look at, those people that don't tend to maybe want to agree with us, but continue to try to get 3 out of 5. That's what I challenge every person. You get 3 out of 5, that's 60%. 60% is a landslide in any political race. And the other thing that we're doing from the RPT is that we are focusing in the major urban population centers and counties on those top 10, maybe top 15 precincts that we have seen in the last few election cycles that have trended from red to blue. And we want to laser focus on those precincts, help those precinct chairs to understand not just the number of people that they need to get that precinct trended back to red, but also provide them with those individuals. And then we want to be able to micro-target so we can send text messages by doing digital door knocking right to that person. So that's the granularity that we're looking to have.
My son just sent off his voter registration card.
Love it. Jacob, who's part of the crew and who's been helping us every morning with our broadcast, great young conservative, gives me hope. That's awesome. So you'll be voting in your first presidential election, right, Jacob? That's awesome. That's awesome. So we're trying to activate the youth as well, and that's when I know you're really good about being very inclusive for everyone, and let's talk about something that just happened yesterday. That it's interesting because I hear about the Me Too movement, all these angry women always just up in arms, and then a number of women who are in these riots. I don't hear the other side. I heard our side talking about it. I know the Capitol Republican Women produced a beautiful video that they put out yesterday, and they've been highlighting women all month. We had the 100-year celebration of women's suffrage. I felt like Colonel, like we were the only ones talking about this. I mean, literally 100 years ago, I could not have voted. So this is a really big deal. Why are we the only party talking about women's suffrage?
Because we are the party that did something about that. And just the same as when you look at the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, we are the party that did something about that. The Republican Party of Texas was founded by 150 Black men. So we have always been the party of civil rights. So the Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed only because of Senate Republicans. So that's why I believe that the left wants to go out and, this reimagining history and this revisionist history, tearing down statues and monuments, because they don't want people to truly know the history of the Democrat Party. It is, without a doubt, the greatest purveyor of systemic racism in the United States of America is the Democrat Party. So when you talk about women's suffrage, women's rights, things of this nature, women's rights is not just about murdering an unborn child. Women's rights is about equality of opportunity, and that's what we have to continue to stress. And let me probably close out on saying this important point. Everyone's talking about, winning the suburbs and suburban women. You can't find a handgun in most stores, run around here in Texas.
True.
The number one demographic that is purchasing handguns and going through concealed carry license training are suburban women. Now, I will tell you that these women understand that the mob is out there, and they are trying to protect themselves, especially when the Democrats are talking about defunding the police. So I don't think that any woman is going out and buying a handgun just so she can give it to Robert Francis O'Rourke in about 3 or 4 months.
I think you're correct on that. Well, sir, how do people follow you? How do they get information? How do they get your talking points, which are so valuable to us who are out there, grassroots, boots on the ground? How do people follow you, sir?
Yeah, you can follow me at texasgop.org, and you can Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then also Allen West, Texas is my personal side. So we make sure that we get all that information out there. And please, every Monday I put out the chairman's message point. So download that and share it, because we all have to be on the same sheet of music.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you so much. Can you be a regular on the show? Maybe at least come on. I know you're super crazy busy. We'd love to have you on at least once a month to talk
Absolutely.
to the crew and educate us and help us get out there and do the right thing for our country.
Consider it done.
All right. Thank you, sir. Well, have a blessed day, and we will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
New Republican Party Chairman, Colonel Allen West. First of all, God bless him for his service to our country.
Right.
And this is, and we didn't even get in to talking about, and this will be another topic. Well, you know how God is such a relevant part of our country and how we were founded and what we were founded upon, the Judeo-Christian values, and we've lost sight of that. Like I didn't, with the DNC virtual convention, and again, I'm not watching every single minute of it, but I'm watching a large part of it. I'm not hearing anything about God bless America,
faith.
or just like faith, or just
Nothing.
can somebody at least throw out a God bless America, or
No.
we're so blessed to live
God
in this
bless America?
country?
No, because you're being racist if you do that. Stop. That's
Well,
not. Stop.
okay,
That's
so
racist.
how is
Stop.
that? And that just makes me crazy.
Because
but
the
you
new
know
religion.
what I'm talking about.
Well, there's only one
Corley.
religion now. Remember?
And what is
It's-
that?
I
missed the memo.
It's spiritual.
Is
It's,
it human secularism?
Meditative,
Yeah, all of those
something like
things.
Well, what's wrong with? And again, all of us, you and Charles and myself and JP, on a regular basis, we come together before or after shows, before or after meetings that we have, and we pray. And I'm really proud of that. I'm just.
Well,
what's wrong
that's
with
a slippery slope.
So
That's
you know
a
what
slippery
pray
slope.
means, right? It means to ask.
Okay.
So they used to say, "Pray, tell me." blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. So pray is.
Oh, you
we
looked
are
all fancy when you
asking-
said that, by the way. That's why we need a camera on Charles.
Chuck is Chuck. I call him Chuck or Chuckles.
No, not Chuckles.
He is fancy. He's very fancy.
So, but it's ask. We are just asking God for assistance.
Yeah, or just asking God to be part of our lives. It's one of what's that song? Sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. God has a plan, and I know we're all firm believers in that. A large majority of the crew has talked about that with us, and they're believers in faith. I would like the next time that we have Chairman West on the show, I'd like to ask him about what happened with us that. You've got an entire party now, and not everybody, because I know Democrats, and I've got friends who are Democrats who their faith is very strong, and they wear it on their sleeve, and they're very proud of it. It's just like I'm looking at that convention, and I kind of think next week at the Republican Party of Texas convention, I know you hear President Trump mention God on a regular basis, and talk about God's blessings and how how we're the greatest country on God's green earth and all that kind of good stuff. I'm not hearing the other side. Like that's one of the big things that's absent.
Mm-hmm.
Is and again and again patriotism. I should say God bless America sounds patriotic too. And well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean they don't want to. You can't be patriotic. That's a bad thing. You can't talk about God. That's a bad thing. You can't talk about women's suffrage. That's a bad thing. Is that
me?
Is that me?
That's you.
Slippery slope. And so I'll just kind of throw in there, if you want to know what's going on with this world,
is that my phone? Hold on.
Is it you?
I don't think it is. I don't know. Corley has 2 phone infractions today.
Sorry.
You've got to get the coffee on Friday. No, we already have
can't have
coffee at
enough-
Venture
can I
X.
have enough
You know what?
coffee?
What's it like outside?
The weather?
Temperature, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's 70 degrees. It's going to be 91 today for a high, or 90 for a high.
Nice.
You are so busted after the show. No, I'm just messing with you. It's going to be a gorgeous day. So get out there. It's going to be a beautiful day on Friday when we have our picnic. But barbecue. Finish talking about what you were talking about.
No, yeah, it's just very, very simple. The God narrative introduces truth, and truth is the light. And when you turn the light on, you can't, like the colonel was saying, they want to stay in the dark. And if anyone, so I have a lot of Dems that are also faith based, but they're not looking through these issues through that faith based lens. What the Republicans I mean, I'm sorry, but they do tend to look through this lens.
We pray before our meetings.
That whole premise is, you can do it. Anyone individual can do anything they want to do if you just believe.
And just remember, even the smallest candle is light in the darkest dark.
That's a good point.
That's so true. And what a high note to end on. I mean, in a time in our world when, and I know, everybody has said this who's been in politics for any number of years, this is always like, this is the most important election of our lifetime. We are battling for the soul of America. We've talked about the fact that, a lot of great civilizations have crumbled after 200 years. Well, okay, start looking at how old we are. We have got to hang on to this, and I feel like there's this silent majority that they can't wait to get out and vote. I know, my dad and my stepmom, they literally just said, hey, can we get 3 more signs for neighbors in our neighborhood who they never knew before until they put their Trump Pence sign in their yard. They never knew that these were politically or even voting people or conservative people, and now they've got their target. They're blanketing their whole neighborhood with Trump Pence signs, and I think that speaks volumes, because again, they didn't know until they put their sign out that they're like, oh, I can't wait to vote in November.
Good.
That's a big deal,
point, Kathy. Great ending. So I do want to say Jesus is the answer. Let me just throw that out there, folks.
Amen.
All of Wednesdays.
I'm sorry.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Friday, big show on Friday. And then after our show, we've got a big event here at Venture X.
Come on up.
I think, what time? 11:30 to 1. Come and go, cook out, get some free food, some soda, some tea, and enjoy yourself. Have a blessed day. We love you, and we will see you on Friday.
Bye.